What's up, folks? Today I'm sponsored once again by Arrtx. This time they gave me color pencils to sort of just test out and just talk about, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I haven't used color pencils in a very long time, which is definitely interesting, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this anyway, it's gonna be fun. So I decided to sort of do a different approach to make it more, I guess, easy for me instead of just doing like a full-on color pencil illustration. But first, let's just talk about the quality of the color pencils and testing them out and all that. So I know in my last sort of video I did like a thing where I did like a swatch test and I just did everything. I just decided not to do that here because I feel like with color pencils, you don't really need to do stuff like that, because like what you see is kind of what you get. Whereas with markers, if you want to test something, sometimes the markers do look slightly different than what the color on their caps looks like. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to, the main important thing I wanted to test out was how good do the color pencils blend and how bright do they look, since they really advertised that the color pencils are very saturated. Well, they are very saturated. I did pick the most saturated color, which was like this really bright pink. And then when I was laying everything down, I was like, okay, this looks decent. It blends all right. I wasn't expecting it to be like Prismacolor. It's definitely good. It does blend well, but yeah. So I blended. I was like, all right, this is decent. I like this. So overall, it was definitely living up to what it was advertising. So now I wanted to get on to the actual illustration itself. I'm just not really gonna be like reviewing too much after this because a lot of it was just me, because like majority of the, part of the picture itself was like watercolor, and then at the end I added like the acrylic markers on top of the color pencil because I wanted to see, oh, do the color markers go well over color pencil? The answer is yes, but be careful, don't like overdo it or like completely go over it. It's fine if it's like little spots or something like that, because if you do like, completely go over it, like you might dry out the markers because, it is color pencil. So just be careful with that. But yes, you can do a little bit of the acrylic marker over the color pencil to add like, I don't know, little highlights or something like that, which is what I did. Anyway, illustration itself is supposed to be like Strawberry Shortcake inspired because it's one of my OCs. Their name is Red Milkshake, and I was kind of just like looking for like ideas of what to illustrate. And I was like, you know what, I don't want to do a full-on like colored pencil illustration because whenever I use color pencils it really hurts my hand. So I decided to do something that would be sort of easy because it's been so long, and I did like this like watercolor color pencil mixed media type piece. So I just like laid down the watercolors as like flat colors, and then I went in and added the shadows and like everything with the color pencils. And I would say for the most part, pretty good. It covers watercolor really well, like it didn't have any issues or anything like that, and it blended with it nicely. So I was like, alright, you know what, I like this sort of style I could do in the future for this sort of like vintage storybook-esque look. So I don't use color pencils that much anymore, like I said, but this does kind of motivate me to use them a bit more, especially with watercolor. I feel like color pencils and watercolor are just so together because of that look. Yeah, because of that storybook-esque vibe that I was trying to go for. And yeah, so once again, I did something that was a little dark, but like cutesy. It wasn't like the other like acrylic marker thing that I did for that other video, but this is tame. So I was like, okay, Red Milkshake is like this Dream Eater, and they're very grotesque in nature, but I wanted to draw them looking cutesy because their name sounds like a Strawberry Shortcake character name. So that's why I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna draw this thing cute. But then I was like, you know what, it's missing something. I need to add a little bit of that horror element to make it perfect, and that's what I did. I don't think Arrtx seems to mind that the art I'm making is like a little bit, spooky. I mean, it's kind of my vibe anyway, so I'm like, you know what, it's whatever. It's not even that bad, it's just like two eyeballs and like unidentifiable mounds of just like flesh or something from like around it, and two strawberries with like mouths. It's not that bad compared to like other things I've done. It's still like pretty tame, but yeah, like I just drew that because Red Milkshake is very all over the place, and it's like the origins of their name is that they love milkshakes in the color red, but like, what's in the milkshake that makes it red is the real question. It's not strawberries. So what else would it be? And that is where it gets dark because it's not. Yeah, I don't know. It's just something random and silly. So yeah, there was like one main thing that I wasn't a happy fan about with the colored pencils, and it was just that there wasn't enough pink. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm so biased towards the color pink, so, you know, every time I need my fix for pink, there was like 2 pinks that were like bright, and then there was like, you know, some darker stuff like purples and all that, or like those like dark magentas. When I say pink, I mean like the brighter pinks. So I only used maybe like 1 or 2 for like the shading like on the skin from Butter Milkshake, and like the, you know, extra shadows and outlines and stuff. But for everything, and like also on like the meat stuff or whatever, but that was more of a peach for some of those. But yeah, like I was a little disappointed that there wasn't that much pink, but it was still saturated though, so I was like, all right, fine, whatever. So yeah, it was definitely like interesting to come back to this approach with color pencils. I haven't used them in a very long time just because I've lost interest. Nothing against them, it's just a very difficult medium for me to get back into, because compared to other mediums, it's like, even though I was not trying to do that whole super blending mode that I used to do, where I had everything look very smooth and crisp and shiny, I was trying not to do that here. I was just having everything be very grainy, because I like that look now, because back in the day when I used to use color pencils, I hated it. I was like, I don't want it to be grainy, I want it to be smooth. So I tried to make it look grainy here. I wasn't trying to make it look ultra smooth, and it does look smooth when you blend it, but like I just kind of got tired of it, because my hand would always hurt even when I was being gentle with it, and I was like, oh man, I cannot deal with this, it's gonna give me carpal tunnel. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna put these away and call it a day, and I just never touched them for years. The last time I made something color pencil related that was like significant was like in 2022, I think, and it was not a great drawing, and I was like, oh, I hate this. I mean, I try my best, but I do not like this. And also because it's really difficult to like replicate my current style with color pencils, because my style is very like, I mean, I guess it depends, but like it's very reliant on like certain techniques I have no idea how to recreate with color pencils. So that is just gonna be a lot of figuring out, and like, is it worth it? Like, do I really want to do this again? Nah, maybe I might just go with the storybook look and just keep my color pencils for that instead, because it's more fun and it is easier on my hand. Like I said, it did hurt my hand during this process, but it was a lot less significant than compared to what I did when I was younger. I have no idea how I even did that when I was a kid. I was just like, what was even my deal back then? I don't know. I was on some shit. It was crazy. But I did remember I had like a massive like skill spike, because this one artist that I kept like studying, because I really admired how she colored with color pencils, and it really influenced my style, because I remember it went from like beginner to, I won't say professional, but it was definitely way better like within just a year, and I was like, holy crap, this is crazy. I did have a fun time with color pencils back when I was younger. It was definitely fun while it lasted. So yeah, I mean, I think that's another thing about like materials, is that sometimes, you know, you use certain materials that you really love when you're younger, and then you're like, when you get older, you sort of don't like them as much anymore, but then you give them a chance to use them again, but in a different way, and you're like, all right, I love these still again, just not the way I used to. And that is kind of what I felt throughout this process. I definitely need more time to like fall back in love with color pencils completely. I have to, you know, give it a chance and really figure out how to use them in a way that I feel like would be really beneficial to me. But yeah, this was definitely really interesting and fun to kind of experiment with again. And also, I'm really happy with how the final product came out. It looks so good, and I was not expecting the acrylic marker to like go down super well on the color pencil. It didn't even lose its like saturation or brightness or opacity in any way. It looked great. I was like, all right, you know what, this is nice. I love how it came out. I was also struggling a little bit when I was doing like editing the final illustration, because I was like, do I want this to be like just plain, or do I want to go all out and edit things and all that? I was just trying to figure out ways to edit it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go crazy with it a little bit, and that's what I did. And yeah, I was just like doing kind of like that sort of collagey look, because that's what the vibes it was giving off. Because I didn't add a background for this, because I made the really dumb realization that the picture was way too big for any of the like smaller watercolor paper I had, and I cannot find my what was it, like 12 by 16 paper. I don't know where it is. I was looking for it. I can't find it. I know I have some left, but I couldn't find it, so I had to like look all over for it. So I didn't add a background, so that's why I had to ended up cutting it out and just kind of, you know, just only putting on a piece of paper that like was really big enough for me to like cut through, and then just like awkwardly cut it out, which I wasn't a fan of, but I had to make do because I couldn't find my paper, which sucks. But yeah, that's the whole finished thing. I really enjoy doing this, and thank you once again, Arrtx, for sponsoring me. I don't have too much like to say about the color pencils. Like, and then when the other review I did, I had all the pros and cons. I mean, it's color pencils. I feel like what you see is what you get. So like, I'm not gonna do that here because you kind of can see. Like, it's a little different here, you know, like color pencils are usually pretty good quality, like even like ones like Crayola, they always blend well and the colors are bright, so I don't need to go super in depth with like how these came out. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you quacks later. Also, be on the lookout because I'm gonna have another Arrtx video in a few days. Bye!